What up, witches? Welcome back to part 2 of my recap of Agatha All Along, episode 4. If I can't reach you, let my song teach you. We then have a scene with these two ladies. Agatha goes into the sound booth and Rio kind of follows her in, and she starts asking questions about the coven and said she's getting impatient, and then she pulls out a dagger and says she wants to cause some damage. Agatha says she's too early, whatever that means, and Rio says that it wasn't her choice, that magic just brought her there. She then questions Agatha about Teen, to which she quickly replies, he's here because I need many hands, and quickly changes the topic because she doesn't want to discuss Teen with Rio at all, and you could tell that by her body language. She then tries to sweet talk Rio by saying, how about we call a truce? Just like old times. Work and play, and let's have big adventures. What's that supposed to mean? Agatha says she just needs the coven to get to the end. And that she asks Rio what happens next. But she presses the microphone button down so that the next words are heard by everyone in the room. Rio says she will get the pleasure of watching Agatha do what she does best. Kill every witch around her, one by one. Agatha will get her power, and Rio will get her bodies. Well, all the witches hear that, and Agatha's like, I would never betray my coven like that. And the witches are going absolutely bonkers, and now they definitely don't trust Rio. Then, out of nowhere, there's this screechy song that's coming from the record player that Teen put on. And they're like, why did you put this on? And he holds up the album cover that says, Play Me. Obviously, that was their next clue. They realize the song is playing backward, and Agatha hesitates no longer, takes the record player, smashes it on the floor, and stomps it out. Lilia has a Lilia moment and goes, we're cursed, and all of a sudden, the Metrodome starts ticking. Alice says she begins to feel lighter. As her curse is spreading to the other witches, she's feeling the weight of the curse leave her shoulders. So the curse goes to Lilia first, then Jennifer, then Agatha. And apparently the curse tried to get to Teen, but it didn't, and instead it threw him through the glass of the sound room. Agatha runs, and when I say runs, I mean runs, to go see if Teen's okay. She is being very protective over him, isn't she? So they realize they have to play Lorna Woo's version of The Witch's Road because that was her protection spell cast on Alice. And anytime anyone plays that song anywhere on the planet, it continuously protects Alice in her life. They continue to play their instruments. Teen's playing the guitar, and he looks down and he sees a jagged piece of glass sticking out of his side. He was injured when he went through the sound booth, but he doesn't say anything. He just keeps playing. So Alice is singing, and honestly singing the song she hated and feared to sing, and faced her fears. Killed this demon. By the way, absolutely grotesque and horrid, and this is going to give me nightmares. Thank you, Disney. It was so good. So the piano pops up, and they all leave to get back on the Witch's Road. Once they get there, they see Teen bleeding, and he falls down unconscious. Agatha is absolutely frantic. She is in panic mode. She is frantic. Lilia starts to tell her, he's young, he's strong. She's like, don't. And then she looks Rio square in her face and says, don't. Don't what? She asks Jen, what do we need? And Jen goes, water and moonlight. They get it, and Jen starts chanting in Latin. As Jen is chanting, a frantic Agatha is leaning over Teen's body. And we cut to Lilia, who says, 3 of Swords. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. This is the Three of Swords. In the tarot deck, it is one of the most negative cards there are. It represents sorrow, grief, heartache, lost relationships, and accidental death. Now, seeing this, the grief, the heartache, the sorrow, are we talking about Agatha or are we talking about Wanda? Also, in tarot, the card can come up like this or it can come up upside down, which is called reversed. When this card is reversed or upside down, it is for finding forgiveness, a turning point in the healing process, and someone seeking support. So again, I ask you, is that Agatha or is that Wanda? Well, Jennifer heals Teen and they move him to somewhere where he could be more comfortable. Agatha goes to sit with him and the rest of the witches sit around a fire and start telling stories. We find out that Jennifer was a root worker and a midwife who was tricked into going into a convention, and she was bound by a man without using magic. I wonder how that happened. Well, Teen wakes up and he asks Agatha point blank, "Did you put the sigil on me?" And she's like, "No." "Well, really, I'm not sure." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And she said that the sigil not only affects the person it's put upon, but the witch who put it upon them. And sigils can only be destroyed when they're no longer necessary. So Wanda's being more tender with him and more affectionate, I guess you would say, or at least sensitive and empathetic. So he pushes and he asks her about her son and what happened to him. Well, all of a sudden we get that hard shell, that mask comes right back up, and she's Agatha Harkness all over again. He stays to rest, and Agatha goes back to the campfire with the rest of the ladies, where they're comparing scars. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Lilia says she's showing a vampire bite, and she says, "Yeah, I took out his teeth." She goes on to say that they used to hate each other, but now, there's a but now. Agatha is showing off her elbow, and she got it from a crocheting needle when she took out a bunch of knitters. And that's when we get this moment, played absolutely beautifully by Miss Aubrey Plaza. Absolutely stunningly. There was a vulnerability and a rawness to her scar that left me touched. She says she has a scar. Agatha's quick to say, "No, you don't." She goes, "Yes, I do." She said, "I loved someone once, and I had to do something I did not want to do, even though it was my job." She goes on to say, "It hurt them, and she's my scar." Lilia gives them a look. They pan to Lilia very quickly and then back to Rio and Agatha. And Lilia's not stupid. She knows what's up. And she knows that Rio is talking about Agatha. And I think we all did too. Agatha gets up and leaves the campfire, and Rio goes to go after her, and Lilia grabs her and says, "Don't think we forgot what you said in the sound booth," and lets her go. Rio comes up behind Agatha, touches her back. Agatha turns around and they embrace. And they come very close to sharing a kiss when Rio says, "Agatha," and Agatha pulls back and looks at her, just like in this shot. And then she says the word, "That boy isn't yours." And with that, Agatha walks away. Here are the questions I was left with after this episode. If the boy isn't Agatha's, is it Wanda's? Lillian knows a lot more than she lets on. Is she really the most powerful witch on this road right now? Who was her vampire? What man bound Jennifer without magic? Were Rio and Agatha the two that survived the witch's road the first time Agatha went down? What did the pictures on the wall mean? And finally, what did the mask on the wall mean? Well, that's my recap, musings, and questions for Agatha all along. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you agree, disagree, or have something to add, hit that comment button. And as always, follow me for more Agatha All Along content. Later, witches.